Welcome to the Paul Altman Show, episode 29. I'm here with one of the most gifted producers of all time. Um, Gifted artist in that I can't really express. I can't even explain it really. Um, but what captured me the most is that he's agreed to appear on this podcast, and even though there's a lot of setbacks, but everything is good here.
It,
So, how
it
you
is.
been? How you been?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good, man. Late night, this is a little early for me. So important to get up and share the information and just talk to everyone about my journey, my career, where I'm at now, and everything. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, and that's great because the thing is that not every music. I cannot even express how it is for me in terms of music, because music is the best form of love, peace, and unity, and brings people together. And even sometimes, even we can't even understand sometimes. You know?
Yes, very powerful. I think as artists, we have a huge responsibility to use the power of music to heal, to make people feel something. It's a very anointing gift to be able to express yourself through music. I feel the obligation that being able to express, because a lot of people uh, feel this, but can't figure out how to express it, how to bring it to life. These thoughts, these musical notes, and all this stuff through your head, and turn it into something, put it out in the world, and make people feel something, change people's lives. You may be going through a rough time and music lifts you up. You may be going through a happy time where you want to celebrate something and music is a part of that. So it truly is the soundtrack to our lives, and we live with it every day more than ever. So it's so important that we're responsible. Take Don't take that for granted to express our feel things.
Wow, that is something. Um, but I wanted to go back to the part. Can you tell us about a little bit about your about not exactly about your upbringing, but in terms of how you get into music and the business and how you started, and basically what inspired you to do music as an
Uh,
artist,
dad,
producer.
my dad was a musician, and he had a huge record collection. Actually, my dad and my stepdad had huge music collections. So I was turned on to a lot of music very early on in life. As a kid, the Jackson Five and James Brown, dad, and then on with my stepdad, listening to the Isley Brothers and Al Green and a lot of soul. Then when I got to high school, I was turned on to hip hop, and so just being able to express myself in hip hop was such a huge thing. uh, Doing music.
I'm sorry, sorry to cut you off, but appears to be that my either with something's going on, but you can go ahead and start and continue. I mean, so I can try to figure it out.
Yeah,
Hold on a second. Something's wrong here. Okay.
there we go.
Uh, can you hear
Oh,
me?
yeah, I can hear you really clear now.
Okay. Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah, so just my dad, just both of my stepfather and my dad just really just turning me on to a lot of music very early on in life. As I said, my dad, the Jackson Five, James Brown, Cool in the Gang. Uh, my stepdad, Al Green. the Isley Brothers, Millie Jackson, all this Southern soul, and then being turned on to hip hop in high school. And that just opening up my whole world to being able to express myself through music. I went to music school at the Art Institute of Atlanta. At the time when I was down there, Jermaine Dupri and Dallas Austin was there hanging around. LaFace Records was just taking off. And then coming back home to North Carolina, I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. So coming back to North Carolina and being able to be in a hip hop group and producing hip hop music, being one of the first in our region to put out actual records, getting our records played in New York. We had artists come down and do shows from New York City, from Biz Markie to Big Daddy Kane to Salt and Pepper, Heavy D and the Boys, and doing shows with these artists. And just our affinity for hip hop and creating hip hop that wasn't Southern hip hop at the time. We were creating hip hop that sounded like New York City hip hop. And so when they came down, they were just blown away that this group from the South was being able to create hip hop that sounded like what they were making. So I got mentored by Biz Markie very early on in my career, DJ Clark Kent, and then just getting on the road, going back and forth to New York City, standing out in front of studios, going to industry parties, sleeping on couches, small recording studios, and just networking and playing 6 Degrees of Separation. I was able to get the opportunity to work with Biggie and Lil Kim on the record Crush on You by way of a connection through Sincere Thompson. So I just been grinding, just going back and forth and networking and just getting into business and figuring it out, trial and error, a few mistakes here and there. But just my love for creating music has always kept me going through it all. And I've just been very fortunate to work with a lot of iconic artists very early on in my career.
Wow. And you mentioned Biggie and Lil Kim. So was it so you said it was through connections and whatnot?
Yes.
So
I have we have some friends that the guy that turned me on to Biggie was a guy by the name of Sincere Thompson, who was a huge marketing and promotions guy. And he's from New York, so he knew everybody and on the scene. And just him introducing me to Rivera, me and my partner Eli Davis, who now manages Anthony Hamilton, we actually ran into Biggie in front of the studio one day, and we name dropped Sincere's name to and next thing you know, we're upstairs in front of Biggie playing tracks for Lil Kim's album. They love the music, and then a week later, I'm in the studio every single day with Mace and Biggie, just making music for Lil Kim's album.
Wow, that's amazing. That's my friend. My friend would always ask me about a Biggie album. I'll be like, because I think people have better taste in music than some people, but for me, I just like the flow of how a certain artist would go either up or down, fast or slow. But I think it's just a pattern of trying to tell a story in their own way, I believe.
Yeah, Biggie, great storyteller, very visual in his presentation. Very, he was cadence and wordplay and just everything in his just imagination was just amazing. And that's just on the artist side, working with him as an executive where he's producing and executive producing and putting Lil Kim and Junior Mafia's project together, just the vision and the foresight that he had had to bring this crew of artists and MCs to the forefront and recognizing the star power that Lil Kim had. And just being able to, have a vision for her and being able to bring her, introduce us to her through his connections and his music. It was just an amazing artist, amazing executive, will definitely be missed. Yesterday we celebrated his birthday, so it was just, I mean, the death of him, actually, not his birthday, his passing, March 9th.
Right.
You know, a lot of thoughts and sentiments across the internet with people feeling missing him and the impact that he had on the industry. And you know, sometimes we just think about where we would be today if he was still here making music.
Right. Right. And I and that wow, that's a lot to process.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I guess I don't know when exactly, but you by any chance worked with Will Smith with Big Willie style?
Yes, I did work with Will Smith. After I produced the Crush on You record for Lil Kim, a lot of executives and A&Rs knew that record and were asking me to come play music for them. And a guy by the name of Mike City introduced me to another guy by the name of Omar Rambert, who was executive producing and A&Ring Will Smith's Big Willie style album. So we went to the Hit Factory. I played them some tracks, and they picked one of the records, which was a record called Y'all Know, which is the first song off of the Big Willie style album. And, you know, I had always admired Will Smith from very early on when they were on the independent record label with Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble to you know, this point in his life where he's doing the Big Willie style album. And it's almost like his comeback record. And it was just a magical time. They were working with track masters. Nas was co-writing for him, ghostwriting for him. We were in the Hit Factory again, and they had like 3 different studios locked down, and Will Smith is running from one room to the next, recording vocals, they're mixing in one room, they're tracking in another room. So just to be a part of that magical moment for Will Smith was just like, it just blew me away, because this was a time where everything was lining up from Will, from the movies to the music, and he was just like the biggest artist at that time. And it was just I was just so blessed to be a part of that period in his career where everything was right for Will Smith to like really take off and become the icon that he is today.
Yeah, and I don't want to bring out too much of what, but I do remember a year. I don't know where you when the Oscars, what happened between Will and Chris.
Right.
I don't know if you were there or not, but I will say that I don't know what transpired, to be exact. But however, through what, in your own opinion, what caused Will to actually go on that stage that very exact night and did what he did?
I just think it was a lot of things that were building up inside from things that he had been going through in the past couple of years, and it just reached a boiling point, and just his emotions got away from him, and they just reacted, and it happened in that moment. But I mean, that's the entertainment business in general. It's a very traumatic experience, to say the least, and it you know, nobody is exempt from it. Will Smith is the biggest artist on the planet, and he still feels the pressures of that. He feels the trauma of that. He feels everything that you go through in this music business. I'm a big advocate of mental health, because I know how this business can lift you up. People can try to tear you down, especially more than ever, because now you have the voice of the internet. So you have the critics that, you know, you used to just have to battle. Now you actually have the opinion, the court of public opinion that you have to deal with as well. So now everybody is coming at you. Everybody has a narrative. People are speaking on things with limited information, and so it's a lot of trauma that you experience in this business, because one minute they can lift you up and give you all of this adulation, and in a moment they can take it all away from you. So it's a lot of
Right.
to deal with, and I just think that was just a moment that everything just came to a boiling point, and he just acted on his emotions, and that's what happened. But if you know him like I know him, he's a good guy. Always speaks with positivity, and is always growing more than anything. If you really pay attention to him, he's always been growing as an individual, and that's important in this business, is to always grow and learn from your mistakes and just constantly work on yourself, you know?
Right. After that, I don't know how long it will be until you worked with started to produce and worked with Michael. Uh, of course, if people don't know what I was talking about, Michael Jackson
Yeah.
on Heaven Can Wait. How that came about, because that's what struck a chord in me more. It's like I love that song, and so does every other friends of mine who happens to be a big Michael fan.
Mm-hmm.
Even some guy by the name of Michael Trapson.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he does his own modern day take on Michael.
Mm.
He's even a fan of the song.
Oh, thank you, man. That moment was another great moment in my career. It's just interesting with all of these artists that I worked with. These were very pivotal moments in all of their career, from Lil Kim to Biggie to Will Smith to Michael Jackson. Michael hadn't recorded an album probably in about 10 years at that time, and this was the last album that he actually physically came to the studio and recorded vocals on. So it was growing up as a kid, you've watched Michael Jackson throughout his career, but to actually be standing in the room with him and working on this very important album, it was almost a comeback album for him. And when I work with great songwriters and producers on this track, and just having a vision for the record was something that I really embraced, because I wanted to make a statement with this record. Michael had done ballads in the past, but recently all his ballads were like Heal the World and those type of records. Whereas this ballad was him actually talking about a relationship with a woman, and we hadn't experienced that since Lady in My Life. So it was important that I take him to that with this record, and so it was for me. I wanted to make a record that they would play for years and years later, about you would use it for a romantic situation with somebody, whether it's making babies or spending time with your woman. I wanted to create another Michael Jackson record that would fit in that space. And so we accomplished that. And it was just a team of great producers. A guy by the name of Kenny Quiller was working with Teddy Riley. He's from North Carolina. Kenny Quiller's from North Carolina. He introduced me to Teddy Riley. We got him the song. And when we got him the song, next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I'm standing in front of Michael Jackson, and he's telling us about how great this song is. And it was just an amazing, surreal experience to be working with him and creating this record that, to this day, when you're making the record, you don't really understand the impact of it. But much later, when you see people on the blog sites talking about the record, and this is one of their favorite records on the album, and up against so many great, talented people that worked on that album, that song tends to stand out on that album. So it just makes me feel good that I was a part of history and a part of Michael's story.
Oh man, wow! I mean, anybody would feel that same way in terms of wanting to work with Michael Jackson or something like that. But I think what not everybody would know is that was the last song that Michael would ever work on in his life.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be the third single from the album before he had his fallout with Tommy Mottola. So I can only imagine, with his imagination and everything, what that video would have looked like for Heaven Can Wait. And I think it would have really sent his album sales, skyrocketing at that point, because of the fact that Michael has always been a video guy that always has these grand ideas for videos. So I can only imagine what he would have been able to do with Heaven Can Wait as a visual presentation.
Wow. So after that, then I guess a couple years after, I want to ask you a question, but I'm gonna try to faithfully ask. Where were you when you heard that Michael even passed away? I mean,
it was crazy, because don't know why this happened to me, but literally about maybe 2 or 3 months before he actually passed away, I had a dream that Michael Jackson had passed away, and I had gotten phone calls in the middle of the night that Michael had passed and everything. And it's so crazy. I don't know why this happened to me. And, this happened so long ago. I can't remember the details of the dream, but I do remember having this dream a couple of months before then that Michael had passed away. And I woke up in my sleep in the middle of the night, woke up out of my sleep in the middle of the night and was just so overcome with like disbelief and grief and all this array of emotions. And, when I found out it wasn't true, then, of course I felt better. But at the moment I was just like, why am I having this? Why did I have this dream about Michael Jackson passing away? And then, so when it actually happened, it just brought me back to those same emotions again. I was, I was somewhere at home watching TV and it came across the news and I just couldn't believe it that it was actually true. And I was, when those moments happen, you always hope they're like, well, maybe he passed away for a second and they were able to revive him. Maybe he's at the hospital now. Maybe they can, bring him back or whatever. But it didn't happen. And so just my initial thoughts were what his brothers and his mother and father were thinking and what they were feeling and his kids and what they were going through at that moment. That, gosh, this guy that you would never think would pass away, would be here forever, was gone. And I felt the same way with Prince as well. It's like these figures, you think Prince and Michael Jackson, they've been a part of your life since you were a kid, and they've always been there, and they've always had great moments. And for those things to happen to them, it just it doesn't seem real.
Right. And well, I felt that same exact way because I wouldn't have known it other way, you know, because you see them as someone of a big superhero, but you forget that realize that they're people too,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. We always think of them as immortal, but because they've always been here and they've always been a part of our life. But they're just like us. They pass away just like we do. I just thought that they would be around a little longer. I thought that they would have another moment that they would be celebrated, but it didn't happen.
Right. And because I just got word about a couple of hours ago that in terms of the movie, that the family and the estate is throwing out this, I think next year,
Mhm.
about the movie, the biopic Michael,
Right.
uh, and they're going to be filming it at Havenhurst, I
Oh, wow.
believe.
Uh-huh.
So, what? So, what's your expectations in terms of like watching great movies about?
Well, that's my thing. I love watching documentaries. I like watching biopics. It's very rare that Hollywood gets it right. We've only seen it a few times with maybe Ray Charles and Jamie Foxx, Val Kilmer and The Doors. It's just really, really hard to get it right because these are very charismatic people. And Michael Jackson, more than anything, is one of the most charismatic figures that we've ever seen. So I think they have a little advantage because it is Jermaine's son that is playing in the movie. They're the people that are producing the movie are attached to the family, and the family and the estate is involved. So I hope there's some truth to it, the good and the bad. I hope that it's accurate and his depiction of who he was, because of course the family knows a side of him that we don't, because they're seeing him in everyday life and they know things about him. We're only seeing what he wants us to see about him as an artist and an entertainer. But there's a very human side to him, which I witnessed that working with him in the studio. Just a very, very human side to him that I experienced working with him in the studio that people wouldn't believe. You can feel his aura and his essence when he's in the room. Um, um, it almost just feels like it's like he's not of this earth. There's something regal about him when he's around you, and the sincerity and his conversation. Because a lot of people meet Michael Jackson and it's just a high and by and the shaking of the hands. But when you're having a real conversation with him, as I did, I'm picking up on things and I'm hearing the sincerity in his voice. I'm hearing the humility in him that is really, you don't really get a chance to see that. And so it just showed me that his parents had a huge impact on who he was in terms of just being very humble, very grateful, very polite, very genuine, very sincere. And I think if people got to experience that side of him and see that more often, a lot of people would have a whole different opinion of who he was. And I just hope that the movie can bring that out and people can see that this guy was here to do something very special in a very short period of time. And we should have taken care of him and made sure that he was able to finish his mission here on Earth with what was in his heart and what he was trying to do through his music. So just a really tragic story, but I'm so glad that I got to meet this guy and really experience the real, genuine human side of Michael Jackson.
Wow. I felt that way. I felt the exact way, especially how you said it. That makes you really think.
Mm-hmm.
When it turns to of not just with Michael, but with everyone that has that's charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I believe that too. So I'm gonna move on that one. So in 2003, you worked with Beyonce.
Yes, we did the record Speechless for her Dangerously in Love album. Again, another pivotal moment in her career as she was ascending out of Destiny's Child into her solo career. So this was a very important record. Matthew knows A&R in the album with Beyonce, and just very calculated, very strategic um, moves in putting that record together in terms of who she worked with, what she was talking about on the album. Again, the record that I did for her, Speechless, was the first time, she had sang about love in some of the other records with Destiny's Child, but this was the first time she was like coming into being a woman now and talking about intimate encounter with a man. And so this is the first time that she had done that. So it was just interesting that how I was the part of that moment of her coming, from a young girl into a woman with that record. And that's also another record that we created that people will, have babies to playing that record or intimate encounters with their partner to that record. So it's one of those records that will play on forever as well. And I see it all the time on YouTube. I see it on Instagram when people talk about that record and what it did for them. And it was just a great moment with that record of me a track with Sherrod Barnes that was speaking to her, and what she wrote was exactly what we were trying to articulate through the music. So it was just amazing how music is so powerful. It can evoke emotions and lyrics that are synonymous of what you're trying to say. So it was almost tribal in some aspects to me, is that we were speaking about an erotic encounter through the music, and she was able to pick up on that, and her and Angela Bience were able to write those lyrics that conveyed exactly what we were trying to say. And we're in two different spaces we're creating the music. They're not that, they're writing the lyrics, we're not a part of that, but we're speaking the same language. And when we wrote that record and produced that record, it just everything came together that we were all on the same page. And just working with her in the studio, just seeing how much of a perfectionist she was vocally, and her approach to it, and being so meticulous to being a part of the mix and everything. It was just I learned a lot from that experience, and it's helped me so much as I'm becoming an artist. Just that time working with her and understanding her process.
Yeah, speaking of that, we're gonna jump ship in a minute. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm back.
Uh-huh.
So, where was I? Oh yeah. Okay. Um. So, working with Beyonce, was that inspired you the most to work on music, becoming an artist yourself?
I think she was a part of that because just seeing these artists and their creative process and their approach and their focus. I mean, working with all of those artists, I learned so much that has helped me. I mean, these are like, I was so blessed to work with probably like 5 of the 6 biggest artists ever in music. And then to be in those rooms with them and seeing their process and understanding how they're approaching their artistry and the focus that it takes and the commitment, I was able to take a lot of those lessons, a lot of those experiences, and put it into my artistry. I just think I got tired of being a part of a project and new artists that I was working with weren't able to endure the ups and downs and the disappointments of the music business. So you would spend a lot of time developing an artist and trying to live vicariously through that artist with your music, and they don't have the mental toughness to continue on when things get difficult, when you're having problems with the label or the deal is not happening fast enough. So I I looked at that, and these great artists that I was finding were bailing out and quitting. And so for me, I've been doing this so long that when one door closes, I search for another one that opens. And so I've always just kept going when things got difficult. And that's the most important thing that you got to have as an artist. And so I just stepped back and I looked at myself and I said, these artists keep bailing on me, but I keep going. So I was like, why not be the artist? Because you have the information, you have the vision, you have the foresight, you're developing these artists. I was mentored by Biz Markie, Clark Kent, Vincent Herbert, P. Diddy, Omar Rambert. I was mentored by all of these people. So I have the information from these mentors, these great mentors and record men. I work with 5 or 6 of the biggest artists in the history of, and I learned their process, and I was creating the music and I had the vision for what the artist should be. So at that point, I just realized like, yo, you should just be the artist. Don't wait around to let somebody else destroy your dream. Don't try to live your dreams through other people. Go for your own. And so at that moment, I decided I wanted to get into the artist space. The pandemic happened and everything was silent, and I had room to just sit in my studio and create and write and learn how to record, and just getting better as a singer each day and a writer each day and a producer each day, where I'm working from the time I go to sleep to the time I wake up on my project and developing these songs. And I was able to find a direction. And then when I came out of the pandemic, I had a body of work that said, this is who Billie Lennox is. And I've been working on this project for about 4 years now and developing it. And so now it's finally in this place where I know exactly what it is, what Billie Lennox sounds like, what he feels like, what his message is, the image, my purpose with this music. And so everything has come full circle for this moment. So now I'm fully in the artist mode of being one of the biggest artists in the world in the next 2 years.
Wow, that's a whole lot of information that for an artist to have,
Yeah.
and I may not be a good singer or a quote unquote rapper, but I love creating music.
Yeah,
And
that's the best part. Like, when this music business gets tough, I always resort back to that feeling I got when I first was able to create music. And if you never lose that passion for that feeling, you will always get through the rough times in this music business. So when it gets tough, you can always go get in the studio and just make music. And that whole process of something in your head that is being sent to you from above, to turn it into a song, turn it into a record, turn it into a creative expression. I live for creative expression, whether it's doing it through fashion, whether it's doing it through music, videos, film, whatever it is. I love the process of creating and expressing yourself. And so that's what always gets me through the rough times. So whenever it gets dark out there and things aren't happening as you want them to, just always resort back to your passion for being able to create music, and it'll get you through those rough times. And when you look up, those rough times are like very short. When you're in it, it feels like it's taking forever for something to happen. But when you finally reach your destination and look back at it, you're like, wow, that was just like, a blip on the radar. Like it happened so fast, but it just seemed like it took a long time. And also I try to celebrate the little things that are happening along the way. I always look at it like it's another brick in the wall. So every day something else is happening that is getting you closer to your destination. We all want the big record deal and the Grammys and the adulation and the success and the fame, but there are a bunch of little successes that happen along the way that get you to that point. So a lot of times we're trying to sprint to the front of the line and we miss the journey, the beauty of the journey of all of those things that happen, those small victories that happen as you're getting to your destination.
Wow. Okay, that is a good advice for me. and I shall thank you for that.
Oh, no doubt, man. I'm here. We all go through these experiences so that we do have a testimonial that we can share with other people that are on that same path that will make their journey easier. So your show is a testament to that, because it's a platform where people can come on here and share that information with other artists and people that are going through the same thing. So it's our obligation to help each other get through the process in any way that we can, because somebody helped me. I was very fortunate to have great mentors and experiences that helped me get to where I'm going. So I have to reach back and we'll do the same.
Right. And I do have one more question for you, and this one's the last one. Anthony Hamilton. Tell me about your experience working with him for the 2013 album, Back to Love.
Well, Anthony Hamilton's from North Carolina. I've known him for a very long time. I've seen his whole journey and his progression into the music business as an artist. I've seen him sing backgrounds. I've seen him when he was just creating demos, trying to get a deal. And I've seen him at his peak when he's had his moment with Hit Records, working with Jermaine Dupri. So we've always had a connection. My best friend manages him, Eli Davis. So we've always been in the circle. Another one of my best friends, Mark Sparks, found him and produced him. So I've seen Anthony's ascension and been a part of that. I've produced so many records on him before he was signed, when he was working with Andre Harrell, and when he was with Soul Life. Also produced records on him with the Back to Love album. And so we've always had a chemistry and a respect for each other, and always have found a way to find time to work together. And I just think he's an amazing artist with an amazing gift. And a lot of the music that I create just fits where he's trying to express himself. So just love working with him. And that was a great moment with that record that we did, because Who's Loving You Now was actually my record that I was, this was when I was first trying to be in the artist space. It was my record that I had written and produced myself, and with Mike Ansel. And the thing about it is that record, at the time, I wasn't quite ready to be an artist. I figured out the part about how to record the records and write the records and start putting a direction together, but I wasn't I wasn't really sure in some other areas that it takes to be an artist. And so it was more of a me not being ready. It also being a great deal. It got me out of my publishing deal and got me into a new situation. So giving the record to Anthony and letting him have that moment with that record was a better move strategically and business wise than for me to put that record out myself at the time. I just wasn't ready. But he did a great job on the record. It was a pop record. It was the first time, again, this is a time where Anthony, with that record, is doing something that he had never done previously. So it was a big pop record that he was showcasing that he could sing pop records just as well as soulful records and R&B records. So that was for me as a producer and a statement for him as an artist. And that was another moment. We got nominated for the Grammy. So that was another, notch in the belt to be nominated a second time. We won with the Grammy with Speechless and the Dangerously in Love album. We won that Grammy, and this was a second nomination. So just for my career to work with all these great artists, have 2 nominations for a Grammy, win a Grammy, and I just had a great career and thus far. And I love what is ahead for me as an artist.
Right. Well, of course, we have those. Mostly artists that has those good accolades. But for me, I think that I should take a good route that I know for a fact that it might or may not, quote unquote, break my career. But I just want to learn from the best. Of course, Michael was my first inspiration to do music. Mm-hmm. And I, as long and trying to find the right words here. Learning great advice from you and Travis Payne, who I had on the show, and also TJ, Michael's nephew, as well.
That's dope. They were really good. 3T was really good.
Oh yeah, and I felt that if I could set my goal to anything, and I learned this from both my mom and my father, because my mom used to be a street dancer in the 80s.
Oh, nice.
And my dad used to play guitar, but didn't really exactly go anywhere. But he does always tell me that to always strive for what you want to do, and if you set on something, you have to do it.
Yeah, and
strive forward.
We all have friends more than ever now that are in the music business. It's so hard, with our parents, because they weren't necessarily around a lot of people that were making it in the music business. Like, they didn't necessarily have friends that were making it in the music business. So it's more of something that they can't necessarily see. But, for us, we know we have friends that we grew up with that are very successful in the music business or getting into the music business every day and having success. So it feels more attainable now than ever. So when you look around, I know so many people that have been trying to do this for a very long time and they finally get on. So really getting into this game, into the music industry, is really just a test of endurance. And can you overcome the mental hurdles and the disappointments and the ups and downs that happen in the music business as you're trying to get in? Can you get through all of that to get to your destination? I remember seeing Alicia Keys. Her lawyer was next to my lawyer, so I would see her in the office all the time, hanging out, and just seeing her go from getting signed to getting dropped to getting signed, and they not believing in the record and not wanting to put it out, and working with this person and that person, and just taking it. Almost seemed like forever for her to get a record out and to make it happen. And then within an instant, it comes out. She gets with Clive Davis, and it just blows up overnight. Feels like all the things that went through to get to that moment. It just seemed like it just took a very long time. But she was just knew that this was her destiny, she knew this is what she was meant to do. I'm the same way, and that God is always just showing me things and presenting opportunities that show me that He wants me to do this, because when it feels like nothing is happening, immediately something is happening. And it just keeps me going and keeps me believing that it can happen if you stay focused and you stay committed to it. And we don't get to choose when we've paid enough dues and we feel like we should be on. Like, we don't get to choose that. We just have to keep going, keep learning, keep growing until we have our moment. And those that can do that will have their moment. And everybody that we know has a long story of what they went through and the struggles they went through to try to make it. And so find those stories out, seek them out through documentaries, through books, through videos or whatever, interviews, and find some inspiration in that, and realize that you're not the only one that's going through this. There's a lot of other people going through this, and a lot of people that reach their destination. So we can be inspired by that.
Wow, that is very something. Well, this is the part where I like to end this interview with a positive note, as always. Do not let the bad times try to get you cloud your judgment, and always let love lead the way and bring unity for us, and to create a brighter future for a brighter day.
Yeah, definitely. Those are something that we all should live by. You can find me on Instagram at Fanatic, aka Billie Lennox. Have a new video out. She Makes the Devil Moan is the new single. It's doing very well. I'm a Black artist that is doing rock and roll. That's something that is very rare today, right now, but it's how I choose to express myself. We've been segregated to hip hop and R&B, but I choose to create and paint in a different space. And I hope that I can inspire other artists that look like me to create in that same space and be free in their expression, no inhibitions, and just create whatever you feel and however you want to express it. So the single's out. Go check out the video. It's on my Instagram page. Comment, share. Definitely share it with other people so that they can see that we can do this, and get inspired, man, and just live your truth, be authentic to who you are, and just go for it, man.
All right. Thank you so much, Fanatic, for being on here, and I'll see you viewers at home for another video for another time.
Okay, man. Thank you, and please share the video. Send me the video so I can share it. The interview so I can share it as well. People
All right.
talk it, and let's all support each other.
Right. All right. Talk to you later.
Okay.